Hey, good day, everybody, and welcome back to the B to SMB Institute's Best SMB Awards. And as promised, we've tried to bring you as many of our nominees as possible to talk about why do they think they were nominated in a particular category. Well, this is the mother of all categories for the Best SMB Awards. This is our Hall of Fame. And we only have, in the 3-year history of doing this, we have 9 inductees in all. And I'm happy to say that Verizon Business is nominated for this year's Hall of Fame. And I'm joined by Mark Tina, who is the VP of Sales for kind of the eastern half of the country for Verizon Business. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having us on here today. It's great to see you. And also thank you for the nomination. We're certainly proud and excited for it. So thank you for that as well.
Well, it was all of our nominations came out of our Leaders League and our Influencer Circle. So, about 50 people who are in very senior leadership positions within your peer set, but also influencers that in fact, I know that are big fans of yours, like Melinda Emerson and Ray, and there's lots of folks who really think the world of Verizon Business and its impact on small business, and I think that's where the votes came from. So why don't we kick off by you just giving us some quick background on you for those who don't know you, what your team does, and even if you want, talk a little bit about Verizon Business.
Sure. So first of all, just going back to the nomination, I'll tell you, we take that with great pride because we here at Verizon Business have placed a major focus on making sure that our small and medium business customers are aware of the brand and aware of what we're doing specifically in this segment. So for it to be realized and nominated means a lot to us. So I just wanted to reiterate that. A little bit about myself, Mark. Tina, as you mentioned, I run a sales organization across the Eastern US, roughly 1,000 people, and we sell into that small and mid-size business customer up to about 1,000 employees in scope. And that's where our global enterprise team takes over. So we're here to basically manage our existing base of customers, making sure that they have the right technology that they need in order to run their business. Also, though, helping to become trusted advisors, Dave, where we're a little bit forward looking, acting as consultants in that trusted advisor role to say, hey, here are some other technologies that we think are applicable to your business that can help your business to not only survive, but to thrive today and tomorrow. So we work to constantly grow those existing customers that we have. That's kind of one side of the job. The other side is obviously we're out prospectively looking for new customers that we're not doing business with today. And we place effort there as well. So really, again, our goal is to provide our best-in-class technology and solutions across that small and mid-sized customer segment up to 1,000 employees. But starting as little as one, Dave, we see a lot of customers that are either sole proprietorships or just starting out as entrepreneurs. And that one person business is just as important to us as our largest of customers. So that's the team, that's our focus. And then just morphing into Verizon Business, as you asked, clearly we also serve our public sector customers. Under Jennifer Cronus, we service our global enterprise customers under Massimo. And then we also have a wholesale group as well for customers looking to purchase wholesale. We've got some MVNO business there as well. And then we are myself in that small, medium business and mid-market space. So that's kind of how we're comprised here at the Verizon Business Group.
Cool. So I'm not gonna presume that everybody knows what's in the portfolio these days of what you guys exactly sell. I mean, just for instance, I'm not sure how many people know that you acquired Blue Jeans, and that's kind of part of your portfolio now. But give us at a high level the products and services that you offer to small businesses that go far beyond just simply wireless.
Sure. So obviously you said wireless, right? So your phones, your tablets, everything that everybody's been used to, but really on that innovative front, I'd like to start with fixed wireless access, also known as business internet. We've made some very significant investments to not only enhance our 4G LTE network, but then also our 5G nationwide, as well as our 5G ultra wideband network to be able to deliver customers not only backup connectivity, but primary connectivity. And Dave, a lot of people don't know this, it's still relatively new, but you could essentially power your business on our 4G 4G LTE network or 5G, again, where that's available, and we continue to scale out. We literally allow the customer to either bring their own router, or we sell routers included in the plans in many cases. And then it's really up to the customer of what speed tier they're going to need, as well as what level of security they're going to want for that device on their infrastructure. And from there, more and more companies are taking advantage of what's known as fixed wireless access. We also call it business internet, and it's a really nice complement to our fiber networks, right? Remember, we also run a very large global IP network on the landline side through our fiber footprint. In many cases, our business internet can, again, either act as that primary, or it can also, a lot of cases, Dave, like a small business might want to run their point of sale services off of a business internet router, or maybe they want to run their guest Wi-Fi off of one of these business internet routers. And so this is one that we've invested heavily. We recently acquired a lot of C-band spectrum in a recent auction, as most people know, and we'll use that to continue to build out the capacity and the throughput and speed that we need to deliver that primary internet. So it's internet coming by way of wireless, in addition to the wireline networks that we're used to. Just a few others I'll touch on. You said Blue Jeans, right? So we acquired Blue Jeans right at the onset of the pandemic, and that was to really bring our UC strategy together, unified communication and collaboration. That becomes the video platform, which complements our One Talk solution, which is really a voice over IP product, fully managed, hosted, and secured, and truly aimed and targeted for that small business customer. So we're offering voice over IP products, we're offering business internet products, we're offering video products. And then probably the last one I would touch upon, Dave, we do have many, would be security. One of the many things we learned during the pandemic is how important security is on those mobile endpoints, just as much as the regular infrastructure. So we sell a suite of security products as well to help our business partners.
You know, you're on the front lines, your team is on the front lines, 1,000 ears, 2,000 ears, I should say, 2,000 ears to the ground on what's going on out there with small businesses. Let me give you some observations from your peers and kind of get your reaction. Do you agree? Do you disagree? But more importantly, in either agree or disagree, kind of expand on it and say what you guys are doing and the role that you play. So let's start with number one, the observation that so many of your peers have, that connectivity is more important than ever to small business.
So I thought you were going to give me some more right there. Absolutely.
No, just one. I'll do one at a time.
Yeah, 100%. Connectivity is critical, right? Because now you have, think about it, workers that are dispersed, right? Everybody doesn't maybe come into that central location every day. You might have some people working from home. You might have people in the field. You may have had to move your business. And so therefore, connectivity absolutely becomes more important than ever before. In fact, we had a recent survey of around 600 small, medium business owners and decision makers, and more than half of them cited that they have improved their level of internet connectivity to either a faster or more reliable connection because of how important that connectivity is. So I would say one thing that came from the pandemic was absolutely an amplified need and utter reliance really on strong, reliable connectivity.
And what many of your peers are observing is the connectivity extends into their business, you know, where they may have had a more touchless, spaceless customer service organization. What's being demanded of them is that they are significantly more directly engaged with their customers to service them. Is that the kind of thing that you guys are encountering as well?
Yeah, we call that digital transformation is sort of the catch-all, because look, there's a lot of ways you can digitally transform your business. And in much of the cases we'll see, to your point, it's all about integrating in the way the customer wants to do business with you, right? People have changed. It's something as simple as people used to not mind coming into that pizzeria to pick up their pizza, but now maybe they want it brought out to the curb. or maybe they don't want to go through the grocery store and have to touch all of the different products and interact with so many people. Maybe they want their order brought out to the curb or actually delivered to their home. That's just a couple of things in the food industry, but the same can be said for purchasing clothing, for purchasing exercise equipment. A lot of the different businesses that provide those services have had to find different ways to move just beyond, like you said, that basic connectivity to transforming how they interact with that customer. Okay, so curbside delivery is something that's been accelerated through digital transformation. The way transactions are taken in a point of sale environment, I think you used to see people disappear with your credit card. That rarely happens these days. There's a lot of great technology out there where the customer just taps the payment machine with their credit card. And so point of sale has evolved in a way that the customer likes it to be. And then a lot of that interaction, right? I know when I was growing up, I wanted to talk to a human or certainly call somebody and talk to somebody. And while that still exists, and I don't think businesses can forget about that, a lot of people want to, interact digitally. Maybe it's through a chat, right? A basic chat pod, or making sure that if they do send an email inquiry or they're interacting with a website, there's a confirmation and then some sort of return, within a short time frame with a set expectation. So customers are absolutely looking for new innovative ways to consume the products and services that they're enjoying or needing, frankly, in a business standpoint. So those businesses that have adopted the technology, gotten on board with that digital transformation, certainly in the early stages, are those that are thriving out of the gate as we kind of come out of this pandemic as a country.
It ties out to some significant research on small business that your fellow member Accenture did over the course of this last year, and found that that small businesses generally fell into three buckets. About 25% were, as they defined it, digitally savvy. They had really figured out how technology and software could help them do their jobs better and be more successful. And then about 50% in the middle were in that stage of trying to figure out how can technology work better for them, and how can they actually apply it, and what should they get. Let's use that as a kind of a jumping off point, because you said earlier, you mentioned restaurant category, a couple other categories. I would imagine that the management challenge for you is your product can be used in any small business and in every small business. It sounds like a dumb question, but how do you sort that out? How do you sort out, from a scaling standpoint, just simply addressing all of the different needs that small businesses present to you? And by the way, I think that's a kind of an essential ingredient as to why you guys were nominated for Hall of Fame, is you've obviously figured that out. But give us a little insight into how you manage that.
Yeah, so I think it all starts with customer needs, right? And what I mean by that is customers of the businesses that we sell to. So we need to become problem solvers for those small business and mid-sized business owners that we work with, to say, what are the problems that your customers have that you're solving for? What are you struggling with to deliver on the customer's needs or expectations? And then figuring out how can we use technology to help with some of those things. So a simple example could be, hey, you know what, we've got a lot of, let's say it's an HVAC company or a maintenance company or somebody that maybe comes to your home or your office, let's say, to do some work. And then maybe that challenge is we're having trouble with job dispatch, or we're having trouble with forms in order to basically send a form out that our employee can review with the customer. Or maybe it's, how do they take payment, and how do we turn that payment to cash as quickly as we can versus waiting 30 or 90 days. We sell a lot of technology that automates all of that, Dave, where if you have a field worker out there in the field, not only can you dispatch that person to the most effective, efficient job based on their skill set, based on their geography, but now they get there, all of the forms are now automated. They're digital. They're on a tablet or a smartphone that they can quickly enter info or look up info, or have the customer enter info. And then the minute that work is done, customer can literally sign off on the tablet as official point of sale. And if that customer wants to pay with a credit card, maybe they have an account, everything is done on the spot. And then that end customer literally has a receipt in their inbox. So it could be something like that, where we take a very manual process that maybe pre-pandemic was sort of acceptable and kind of normal, where we advance it, we accelerate it, and we now make it digital, faster, easier. And in the end, the customer benefits because they're getting faster time to cash, right? As well as offering a better customer experience to their end users. So I just think when I think back to your question, right? How do we start and how do we scale? I think it's figuring out, what does that business owner actually do? What are they trying to accomplish for their customers? And how can we help them accelerate? The second thing is, how are they caring for their own employees? Okay, so let's say it's a business that had to send their customers home to work. And so now they went from being in an office, but now people are working from home. Well, how do we keep those employees connected, right? How do we keep them productive? How do we make sure that they not only have access to the corporate tools and resources that they need from that small or mid-sized business, but how do we make sure it's secure and that that precious data or information is not going to get hacked? How do we help that business to continue to be either as productive or more productive in an environment where those workers are now parsed out versus coming into the same office every day? So I think it starts with customer needs of that business, followed up by, what do the employees of that business need from a technology standpoint, and where do we start? The last thing I would say, Dave, in this category is that it can get overwhelming. If I was to sit here and tell you everything that Verizon did, it kind of becomes, what just happened? And to your point, where do we even start? So one of the things we've been trying to do is go slow and build that trusted advisor status and take time. Create a list of priorities, use a whiteboard like the one behind me, and figure out what the customer needs in order of priority. And build a long-term relationship and take things one at a time. That's really how we do it.
It's funny because I think that I think one of the things that happens in our quote business of selling to small business is the fragmentation of small businesses, the millions and millions of snowflakes that they are. It makes us do some crazy things. And I think you're very wise to point out patience, because one of the things that I think a lot of leaders would say is that you become impatient with the drive to be efficient and to replicate and to franchise and to kind of just not have to do everything on a bespoke basis. And I think that's really the key, because if you did have to do everything on a bespoke basis, it would be absolutely overwhelming. Talk a little bit about, I want to transition into really kind of talking about the brand you have been through this pandemic crisis. Is it, I think you have a long legacy as a terrific brand on behalf of small businesses. How did that change as the pandemic really took hold? Or was it really just kind of being more of what you were already?
I think it's a combination, Dave. Meaning, I think that Verizon has always been a company of integrity and a company that cares about the communities in which we do business with, which means caring for those small, medium businesses, of course, as the fabric of those local communities. So I think Verizon had a nice history and culture of being there. However, where I think that we really did so well during the pandemic, and it's something that I'm so proud of, is the fact that we became more of a servant partner than a sales organization when the pandemic first hit. And what I mean by that is, we were reaching out by way of, how can we serve you? Is there anything we can do to help? We made some significant monetary contributions. We've invested to numerous small and mid-sized business foundations to the tune of millions of dollars. We also allowed for concessions, Dave, for customers that maybe we're having problem paying the bill, where we extended that and let them keep their service on. We gave a certain amount of free voice and data access, again, at the onset of the pandemic for certain size businesses. We also created different campaigns such as Feed the Front Line, where we partnered with some of our food industry businesses so that they were able to profit and stay in business while providing those meals to frontline workers and others. We were hosting a lot of even concerts and things for people to watch for free via our FiOS network and things like that. We continue to help advise for small, medium business customers in our new Digital Ready platform. This is where if you're a small, medium business, you can come onto our platform, learn what other businesses are doing, see what other tools and resources are out there. Everything I've just mentioned is all free of charge. Another one is Comeback Coach. If I keep thinking, more will come to mind. But these were all things that we provided at no charge to just really stay close to that small business customer, keep them afloat, and then obviously help them to scale as we come out of this. Unfortunately, we lost obviously a lot of small businesses throughout the pandemic. I think that we'll see a lot of those continue to emerge. And so I do think, again, to answer your question, we strengthened our brand and our commitment to the small business customer, the way we reacted, the way we handled it. I think now it's the time, though, to help these businesses begin to really thrive and move into this next chapter, which involves technology.
Right. And I think you've done a great job of explaining kind of the component parts of exactly what that means. And I think your peers, again, would agree that connectivity, the demand for technology to rise to new challenges is absolutely widespread out there. You mentioned a little bit about some of the initiatives that you did over the course of the last year and a half to support underserved communities of small business, minority-owned small businesses, women-owned small businesses, rural small businesses. And I just, again, in the context of the very special needs that those large segments of small businesses have, what do you think is there an investment on your part in frankly delivering an extra amount of support to those businesses, frankly, that have been historically underserved?
Yeah, great question. So listen, one of the grants I talked about was literally a $10 million grant to support. We actually worked with, it's called Local Initiative Support Corporation, which is focused on business owners in historically underserved communities. And in the end, 80% of that grant actually went to women-owned small business, so that we helped out not only in the underserved community, but then women-owned businesses within that community. We did the same for other types of minority-owned businesses as well. We also have a rich history of helping in these communities through a lot of our what we call citizen Verizon efforts, where we continue to help provide digital connectivity in underserved communities. We work with local schools, we work with local community leaders in order to provide that connectivity in a lot of the underserved communities throughout the nation. There are school districts everywhere that are able to equip those students in the underserved communities with broadband connectivity, which is helping them to connect for their schoolwork. And it's also helping families to connect to the information that they need in order to break through this digital divide, quite frankly. We call it digital inclusion. And our goal is to ultimately provide broadband to as many people as possible. And we're specifically starting in those underserved communities. So we do a lot of work there. And then I'll tell you another thing, a lot of our work, so for example, our CMO organization under Diego Scotti, they do a lot of work to make sure that a lot of our sort of subs, right, that we source marketing work through are minority-owned businesses, literally. And a lot of our sourcing protocols go down that route in order to make sure that we're helping in those communities as well. So really, there's a lot of work that goes on throughout our organization to help specifically in the area that you're speaking of.
So this is maybe an unfair question, but you're a sales guy and you lead a sales team. Does all of this extra stuff that Verizon does help you in your selling?
You know what? I think it's helps us to come across as genuine partners and not just, hey, how many phones are you going to order today and you'll never see us again, right?
Hmm.
We're a brand that is committed to the society, and it allows us to broaden the conversation with the customer, Dave, right? Instead of me just walking in and saying, hey, how many phones do you need? Or hey, who do you do business with today? I might be able to talk to you about that broader small business community and things that
Hmm.
we're doing and focuses that we have. And there's real factual programs that we can speak to, and a lot of it hits home. The other thing it'll do is if a business owner says, hey, you know what, I have a great idea I think you should be aware of, would you all be interested in this? Absolutely, we'll take that idea into the right department and engage our teams from a societal standpoint, and a lot of partnerships get formed that way. In fact, our partner from PR, Claudia Russo, her and her team have been doing a lot of work to find local businesses in some underserved communities that have a great idea, or they're serving for a great cause, whether it's a healthcare business, whatever have you. Again, in that small and mid-sized space, to say, wait a minute, let's help get you some press. You're doing a great thing here for society. Verizon is also contributing in that way for society. Let's come together with a joint press agreement, help your business to maybe get, you know, some exposure that you wouldn't normally get, in order to shine the light on the work that we're doing together that's good for the greater cause. So it's hard for me to say here's exactly what the ROI is, or here's exactly what we get back from it, but I firmly believe that those grassroots efforts absolutely yield dividends, and we're doing more of it than ever before.
Yeah, I can I would find it hard to believe that it isn't making a positive impact on your bottom line, and in a pretty
Yeah.
substantial sort of way. Because I agree with you that, you know, the relationship with small business, we all know that's critical to success with a small business. But I think a lot of times we kind of get wrapped around the axle of what that relationship, and particularly the trust of that, really needs to look like. And I think the things that you guys do are so authentic um, and so practical that I think they really do resonate a lot with a lot of small businesses. And certainly, I think those who nominated you would point to you guys as being pretty exemplary, in fact, very exemplary on your ability to really grow your relationships with your small business customers. So how long have you been with Verizon?
I've been with Verizon for 18 years now. It'll be 19 in Q1. So it's been a long time, Dave, and I am love the company.
Well, then you are uniquely positioned, I guess, to ask this question, answer this question rather, that we ask all of our Hall of Fame nominees, frankly, is describe, if you would, the DNA of Verizon Business.
Okay, sure. So I would say our DNA starts with integrity. We have a credo that literally was written 20 years ago that we take very seriously. And so in that credo, we start and stop based on the integrity that we have for one another, as well as the integrity to the customers that we serve. So it's critical that we put our best foot forward every day, internally and externally. From there, that DNA is comprised of innovation, Dave. For as long as I have worked here, we are always on the cutting edge with technology. And I'll tell you, when the first little tiny phone came out, I thought that that was cool. And then a flip phone came out, and I was like, oh, wow, Motorola StarTech, right? And then that was the coolest thing. And then the BlackBerry and the iPhone, and it goes on and on. But at the end of the day, we do pride ourselves on innovation and cutting edge technology. And what I just named was obviously product, right? But it's really the network behind that product that is our core competency. So when 3G first came to bear, we were best in class with 3G and ahead of the pack. We certainly proved the same in 4G LTE, where we are the undisputed most reliable 4G LTE network. That's by way of any third-party test you want to look at. And we're right now in the process of doing the same for 5G. We were first in the world with millimeter wave ultra wideband. We've had many other firsts, but it'll take time, of course, for us to become the undisputed 5G leader as well, just like we did with 3G and 4G. So I think it's so important to talk about being innovative as a company, in order to think about the DNA that exists here in the Verizon Business Group. And the final thing I would talk about is just the fact that we are here to serve our employees and customers every single day. There's been a major focus put on internally how we serve and support our employees. And in turn, those employees are going to provide our customers with best in class experience. And that's definitely a part of what we do. So we're just really excited right now. We're at a point in time where we're kind of been through a lot as any other company or person on the globe in the last few years. And we've kind of been just waiting and feeling out and seeing, well, what is going to happen? And we're extremely confident with the decisions we've made during the pandemic. We made some big bets, certainly with Blue Jeans, also with the C-Band acquisition. So while a lot of companies were pulling back, we went full force ahead. And we're just very excited to see some of those big bets kind of take shape as we emerge together. And again, it's all with the end customer in mind. So that's just a little bit about the DNA. And I've witnessed it literally for almost 2 decades here.
Great answer. And that bullishness on Verizon, talk a little bit about your sense of small business. They've been through the ringer over the course of the last 18 months. We're, depending on who you believe, we're at some level of optimism in our recovery, collective recovery, but lots of big challenges to overcome for small businesses, continued big challenges. Are you bullish on the future of small business?
I am very bullish, Dave. I believe that will continue to be the fabric of the U.S. economy. And I don't just say that lightly. I think that these are people that are smart, they're bright, they start a business and they build a business. The thing that will really ensure the success of these businesses, though, is adaptability. These business owners, again, whether you are a sole prop of one, a small business of 5 to 10, or you're growing into that mid-size space, 20, 50, 100 employees, you're going to have to innovate. You're going to have to change. You cannot just assume, okay, well, the pandemic's almost over. I can go back to exactly how I was doing business. I think that you will be passed up. There's no doubt about it. You may have to adapt for things that are a legal matter, right? Like, hey, you have to check for a person's vaccination for them to enter your business if you are in this geography, but in this geography you don't have to, right? Those types of things. So again, the adoption of technology, I'm not just trying to sort of self-serve Verizon's cause here, but you can't continue and not adopt technology. You will get passed up no matter what business you're in. So I am very bullish for the small business community. And again, I think that what makes that feeling even stronger is that I think business owners know that they have to adapt. They have to do things differently. I have friends and family members that own and operate small businesses, and they realize now more than ever the need to change, the need to be agile, nimble, and figure out new ways to compete. But most importantly, through all of it, is keeping that connection with your customers, no matter what. You have to do business where they want to do business, and frankly, how they want to do business, as long as you can figure out how to be profitable and stay within the lines, of course.
It just seems like the challenges are more acute. They're not really necessarily different than they were even in the 50s, but they're far more acute. And frankly, we have a lot more tools at our disposal. Hey, listen, thank you for being such a great representative for this nomination. Again, congratulations. You've got some extraordinary fellow nominees who've been serving small businesses for a long time, just like you guys have. And you all have just really wonderfully exemplary stories to tell. You guys really are living, breathing playbooks on how to do business with small business successfully. So congrats again, and thanks for doing this.
Dave, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. We are so excited to continue our relationship with the B2SMB Institute, and we look forward for more great things to come. Thank you so much, and stay healthy out there.
All right. Thanks, Mark.